Thank you for tuning in to Macroview Television and welcome to a brand new edition of Taiwan Outlook, the program that presents the different faces and let you hear their stories on Taiwan. I'm your host, Ray Guo. Have you ever stayed in a hotel or motel in North America that is either run or owned by Taiwanese? And how was your stay there? And what are some of the problems and challenges that are faced with the Taiwanese hotel and motel business in North America today? We're going to find out on today's program because we are delighted to have Mr. Wilson Wang, who's currently the president of the Taiwan Hotel and Motel Association of North America, to be our special guest. And we're going to talk about some of the problems and challenges that are faced by the hospitality industry in North America. Welcome to our program, Wilson.
Thank you, Dr. Wu, and thank you for the opportunity to be on this program. It's truly a privilege to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on the program, Wilson.
I appreciate it.
Being very kind. Yes.
Thank you.
Wilson, please tell us a little bit about yourself. We understand that you were born in Taiwan, but you emigrated to the United States in 1983. Tell us a little bit about your experience growing up both in Taiwan and also in the U.S.
Of course. I actually studied in Taiwan all the way through junior high school.
Good.
When I was in third year of junior high, after the first mock entry exam for the high school, that's when I left Taiwan in October. And at that time, I was the typical and the true defined Taiwan immigrated students, where no family members, no relatives, no parents were tagging along, so to speak, and I was there pretty much alone. Initially stayed at family's friend's house in Singapore Valley, which is also a Southern California community that has a lot of Taiwanese populations. But obviously, because of that, that does not provide a very good English learning environment. So my family moved me to a different friend's house in Huntington Beach, which is in Orange County, California.
Yes.
And that was where I finished my high school and went on to the college, to University of Southern California.
And at the time, in the 1980s, it was not easy to get a permanent residency status in the U.S. And I understand there may be some stories behind your process. Can you share with us on the program today?
Oh, of course. When I went to the U.S., I did not have a permanent visa.
Okay.
In fact, our family was in the process of applying permanent visa through the L status, the management of a foreign company.
Yes.
And that's, but unfortunately, the visa petition, because there were some errors made by the attorney, the visa petition did not go through. So we did not convert to permanent residency at that time. So I had to convert it to a F visa, which is a student visa. And after I finished the student visa, all the way through college, when I applied for a job, that's when I convert my visa to a H visa, which is a postgraduate practitioner visa. But then, practitioner visa, you only have a certain number of years.
Yes.
And at that time, it happened to hit millennium years. So all the computer systems through the Labor Department, through the Immigration Department, they all had the same glitch. And every application got postponed. So because the term limit, I had to convert my visa to E visa. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was a E status visa. So, and that was when I finally able to get my green card, permanent residency. And that whole process from the day I entered the U.S. until I actually got it was about 20 years.
That's
so
a long
it was
process.
a very long journey. Yeah.
Yes. All right. We understand that you went to University of Southern California, USC, and you majored in business, of course, with the dual emphasis, one on corporate management and the other one on real estate financing. Why did you pick the two? I mean, did you have, you knew for a long time, for example, hey, these are the things I want to do when I grow up?
Actually, it's also a different story on that one.
Please.
My original interest was in computer science. But before I entered college, my father had a long conversation with me and go, well, if you be a computer science major, you'll be working for somebody else.
Yes.
But if you're studying business major, you have the opportunity to working for your own, be an owner, be an employer.
Okay.
And also that was at a time when he transitioned from our old traditional family business in jewelry to more of a commodity or manufacturing side, because that was at the time when a lot of investors from Taiwan converting their business to China, so started investing in China. So my father kind of expect me to graduate and then go back and help him. So he encouraged me to go to the corporate management side, which I took the advice and studied that. It was about a year before I graduated from college when I always had an interest in real estate. So during the summer, I took a couple classes in real estate finance, and I really liked it, so I decided, hey, I'll just finish all the courses. So that's when I got the dual emphasis.
Okay. And after graduation from USC in 1993, I believe, then you subsequently joined the Taiwan Hotel Motel Association of Southern California in 1995. And thereafter, you have been very active in the association, also gotten more deeply and broadly involved in the real estate market, particularly in the hospitality business. And why hotels? I mean, hospitality business. You mentioned just now that your family business was not in real estate, not in hotel, motel, type of business. But why did you want to get involved in, running, managing only hotels and motels?
Sure. I mean, full of story, one after another, obviously. After I graduated, I started in a commercial brokerage firm, started as a research assistant and then converted to an agent. That was back in 1993. My original interest was in apartments.
Oh, really?
It was not in hotel.
All right.
But back then, there were SNL, the savings and loan crisis, the Lincoln savings collapse, and there were a lot of hotel loans that were in foreclosure.
Yes.
So what happened was one of my colleagues at that time approached me and said, hey, there are a lot of Taiwanese that are hoteliers. They're struggling with their loans. There are a lot of Taiwanese banks or Taiwanese investor banks that has problem with the foreclosure properties. A lot of Japanese bank has a similar situation. So he asked me, would I have an interest to work with him jointly as a partner in hospitality side and hotel brokerage. So that's why I go, you know what, since I'm fresh in the industry, I'll do anything. So it was a good learning opportunity for me and been working in hospitality ever since.
Okay. And let's talk a little bit about the Taiwan Hotel Motel Association of North America. And what is it? I mean, how, when did the association first, set up? And what are some of the programs and the functions of the association?
Thermana was founded in 2006 by Chris Chu. Chris Chu was our founding president. He actually approached Wilson Wang, who was the founding president of Taiwan Hotel Motel Association of Southern California. And with his help and with Chris' effort, in 2006 we formed Thermana. Thermana was originated with local chapters of different Taiwan Hotel Motel associations. Started from Southern California, took the initiative. We connected Houston, which is the southern region, Louisiana, Florida, and New Jersey, East Coast.
Good.
So, and in between time, we have also connected Arizona, Northern California, and Missouri. So we're trying to connect as many Taiwanese hoteliers as possible so that we can extend our reach to help each other as business colleagues.
Good.
Because every day we deal with franchise issue, negotiation issues, supply, service, chain management, employment, Disability Act, and so all sorts of issues that we have to face on the daily operation. So the purpose of the association is to help each other, to extend and reach out.
All right. How big is the association now, and what do I have to do to join the association? For example, do I need to own a hotel, motel someplace in the in North America? Or do I need to be for example, a professional manager of a hotel to be a part of the association?
Each chapter operates differently.
Okay.
The Thermona is actually, the member of Thermona is the local chapters, the local association. For example, the members are the Southern California Association, the Houston Association, the Florida, the New Jersey.
Okay.
Each local chapter then will have their own members. Okay. Each chapter has their own bylaws to acquire or to qualify members. Southern California, for example, we have two types of membership. We have the standard association members, which are hoteliers, hotel owners. You need to own either bed and breakfast or some sort of hospitality property and business.
Yes.
Correct. And we also have associated members. Associated members are people like the management company, could be attorneys, accountants, vendors, affiliated businesses, insurance agents, banks, for example.
Of course.
These are all our associated members.
Okay. Do you have a rough number of how big is the total membership today?
In Southern California, we have about 400 plus.
Well, that's not bad. Yes.
The number of hotels and the number of rooms have grown substantially because the people who are still in the membership, they have grown to acquire more property under their belt. We have several particular that are that owns like 20 properties and then operates another 20 for managed for other people for another 20. Good. So just under the corporate umbrella has over 40 hotels under him. So
that is quite sizable.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
And we understand now you are part of the delegation. You're the team leader of the delegation leader to come, from Thermona to come to Taiwan for a visit. Let me ask you, what is the purpose of your visit to Taiwan? And how often do you come back to Taiwan? And during your visit to Taiwan, do you have any association or interaction with the local hotel and motel operators in Taiwan? Please.
We started in 2008, the first year that we have the Taiwan tour. The Taiwan tour are geared towards the second generation of our association members.
Good.
So we collect as many as we can, obviously, the second generations to come to Taiwan with two purposes. One is to learn the service industry, the hospitality industry, their service culture, their ideas, how they practice and everything. That's obviously to learn from our own perspective for the hospitality business. The other purpose is so that they can relink and reconnect to their heritage and their root, where their parents came from, how different it is, the Asian culture, the Taiwanese culture versus the American culture. And obviously at the same time, enjoy and enriched by the great land that Taiwan has to offer.
Okay. And we understand one of the visits that the delegation made was to the Overseas Community Affairs Council, OCAC. And what is the reason for you to lead a delegation to visit OCAC? Please.
Yes, OCAC has been very grateful. We're very grateful to OCAC. OCAC has always been supportive to all our Taiwanese Americans there, and I know they are globally assisting all Taiwanese traveling abroad and residing abroad. We receive all sorts of assistance, whether it's cultural, education, language, or business arrangements, especially for our hospitality industry. During the time when we had the SNL crisis or any type of financial crisis, OCAC has an overseas small business guarantee funds that helps us in securing loans that require either in expanding or acquiring real estate properties.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. And let me ask you this about the time that you come to Taiwan, and you visit all these different counterparts and also OCAC. What is your view about the state of Taiwan's economy today, with particular reference to the service industry and also the hospitality business? Please.
Sure. Taiwan's hospitality business is probably one of the greatest in the world.
Okay.
And it's almost parallel, second to none. Mm-hmm. Even Japanese or any other other nations' service industry all have the same comments. Mm. The way that people serve, it's truly from the bottom of the heart. And I think it has to do with Taiwanese culture. I mean, great people, great land, mm-hmm. and that developed this great service idea and yes. service initiatives. Mm-hmm. And that's the same type of service initiative that we want the second generation to see, mm-hmm. How we can learn from this business and apply and adopt in our own business.
Yes. And when you look at Taiwan's economy, of course, we are in the ongoing transition from one of more manufacturing-based to one more towards service-based. And of course, we have, intense competition, from neighboring countries like, China, like Korea and Japan. And what is your view about Taiwan's economy in general, and also the service industry in particular, that can help Taiwan's economy to stay competitive? This is a globalized economy, and then any type of event that happens maybe halfway, across the world will have a ripple effect on what's happening here in Taiwan. And how do you see Taiwan can survive the ongoing transition and coming out at the end, becoming more economically competitive and also remaining, in the cutting edge of service industry, of technological industry, and also other areas? Please.
Sure. Taiwan has been so advanced, and I think it's through the fruit of the democracy. Mm-hmm. Taiwan is probably very well known for yes. the most democratic nation mm-hmm. in Asia.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I think that obviously came out and paid a tenfold because the way the transition from an industrial-based nation mm-hmm. okay. to a more financial and service-oriented mm-hmm. Industry okay. is extremely difficult. Mm-hmm. And I think Taiwan has adopted very well. On the tourism side, I think last year, if I recall correctly, that Taiwan had hit over 10 million annual visitors Indeed. Last year. Mm-hmm. And that is evidence in itself that mm-hmm. everyone is interested in coming to Taiwan, whether it's doing business, just to do leisure travel, or to learn this great culture. And I think Taiwan has the ability to continue to grow this way.
Okay.
I know and I have heard that many people were concerned whether the dependency of China's visitors yes. will play a crucial part. And it kind of plays in two different scenarios. It all depends on how mm-hmm. the industry grows. Okay. I know in recent years, the hospitality products has grew substantially. And I think last year when I visited Taiwan, when I visited the Tourism Bureau, OCAC, and also our sister associations in Taipei, okay. We all discussed the same subject, and I did mention one concern that I have is that in U.S. we always see the growth of the sector's demand. Okay. The supply, it's always supply demand. Mm-hmm. When the supply is short and demand is high, mm-hmm. people tend to start building and growing. When the growth rate is too high, okay. that would draw a major concern because the growth of visitors cannot continue to sustain. At the same rate. Mm-hmm. And if you have supply exceeding that, then that's when trouble comes. So somehow there's got to be a way that someone needs to manage that.
Okay.
You need to have growth, but okay. not too fast.
Okay. And pursuing the point that you raised just now about overly dependent on Chinese tourism coming into Taiwan, mm-hmm. and we are also talking about diversifying the tourism market. Maybe not just China, but also Japan, Korea, and also Southeast Asia, even in the United States. What is your view about Taiwan's ongoing attempt to diversify the tourism market, to try to not put all the eggs in one basket? Try to make Taiwan more attractive, not just to the Chinese tourists, but also to tourists from other foreign countries.
My personal opinion is that we have dependency in China, from okay. China, right. Tourists from China. But I don't think we're overly dependent on them.
Okay.
If I recall the statistics correctly, we're about somewhere around 3 to 4 million China visitors a year currently.
Exactly. Yes.
And with over 10 million, that represents about 30 to 40%. Obviously, the political influence or international influence may cause some ripples on that aspect, and I think during this trip we have had a brief discussion on that.
Okay.
But I still think that Taiwan has been doing very well, especially the Tourism Bureau has been doing very, very well outsourcing and try to make the global attempt that everyone comes into Taiwan for a variety of different reasons.
Okay.
Their ad campaigns, their pamphlets, all the information that and all the programs that they have to offer are really, really attractive. And especially, in, for example, in North America, almost everyone knows Taiwan has a great tourism program that people can come and visit for.
Okay.
So I think Taiwan is doing very well on that. The dependency on China obviously is there, and you cannot exclude that.
No,
but I think it's manageable.
All right. Yeah. And finally, before we end this part of the program, Wilson, a friend of mine in the investment community once told me, I think he put it very well in the sense that he says that, Taiwan compared to other neighboring countries or cities, we may not have the fancy brochures. We may not have the, wonderful promotion tapes, the TV tapes that you see, promoting Taiwan. But Taiwan is sort of like a very deep and broad book that once you visit Taiwan, once you arrived, that you will get to know the Taiwanese people, the food, the culture, the music, and the people, most importantly, because they are, the people that, that's making the foreign visitors want to come back to Taiwan, time and time again. Do you agree with such an assessment? And what is your feeling talking to maybe some American, visitors who have come to Taiwan and share with you their feelings about the island? Please.
Sure. If I remember correctly, the Tourism Bureau already made the attempts in targeting different groups of visitors. Yes. And they have different programs, different pamphlets, different advertising clips for a variety of different medium. Yes. Correct. So again, I think because we're so rich in cultural, in the land, and what we have to offer, the food, the people, and everything. And right now, I think a lot of programs are geared towards different segments already.
Good.
I think the focus can obviously to kind of renew because the same clip you can't just keep on running over and over again. People will get tired of it. So I think the renewal of the program will definitely help.
Okay. And any other feedback that you might have picked up on talking to Americans who have been to Taiwan? Maybe we can do just a little more. Any area?
Right now, I mean, for those who are already been here, they all fascinated by the convenience and the abundance of the enrichment that they learn from here.
All right.
They went to all the sightseeings, all the places. Most of them are have stayed in the city. Okay. Very few of them went into the countryside, into the mountain range to explore the natural beauty. The richness. And I think that part we can probably focus on a little bit more.
Good. Wilson, we've been talking about your experiences in the hotel hospitality business. We also understand that you have studied quite a bit on your own, especially now in the professional community. That you have also developed your concept of as the world becomes more integrated, your concept of what global village is. Can you first then share with us your concept of what the global village is today, please?
Sure, of course. The world sort of getting closer and closer together.
Yes.
Every nation has very close tie with each other. A lot of regional organizations being formed, whether it's in Asia or Trans-Pacific or other places. So the boundary is becoming fading. It's fading.
Yes.
It's becoming not as clearly defined. It's almost becoming the regional competitiveness or the regional competition. So that's how I looked at the global developments, is that how a larger sums are competing one against each other. So that's how I was looking at in terms of global view. And Taiwan's position, obviously, the fact that the success of the democracy has already shined the Taiwan's name.
Okay.
But I think the economic development has been amazing for years and years and years. But I think right now, because we're in the transition, I think that fame has been kind of dissipated a little bit.
Yes.
But I think it can pick up quite easily, especially now that we already know that the service sector is really strong, and that competitiveness is there. So I think the Taiwan will still have that sustainability in this global village.
Okay. Wilson, a related question is, every time when you come back to Taiwan, do you have the opportunity of meeting with some of the younger generation of people in Taiwan? For example, those 30 or 35 and under. What is your feeling about, by talking to them or having some conversations with them, do they sense, Taiwan's position in the global village, and how do they see Taiwan, able to stand out, continue to stand out, not just on the economic success of the past, but also the democratic achievements, also the richness of the local culture? Do they sense the direction that Taiwan is going next, how they may play a bigger role in that process?
We had the opportunity to meet with a lot of young generations. Part of our tour every year is visit schools, hospitality schools.
Okay.
Starting from last year, we actually offered programs for Taiwanese students, hospitality students, to go to U.S.
Good.
To experience for a month or two.
All right.
To enrich their vision in global experiences. Last year, I think there were 4 students from Shoping University in Taichung, 1 student from Daren University from Pingdong, and 1 student from Furen Daxue.
Good.
So we had a total of 6 students last year, and what our experience with them is that they understand that they have the enrichedness of the Taiwanese culture, the enrichedness of the land, and the strength of the service sector. But what they were lacking of is the global vision. And through our program, we hoped that we have provided that to them, to see a different culture, to see a different environment. And obviously also have the opportunity to enrich their language skills, foreign language skills.
That always helps.
And this year, we're going to be continuing to offer that program. And I think we had interviewed 7 students from Taichung region. This summer, we're going to be offering the similar programs to them so that they can come experience again this year.
That's wonderful. Another thing I want to bring up is, you, Wilson, is very environmentally conscious. And then you care about the environment, and also you carry that into your professional life as well. Can you then tell us, share with us maybe some examples, how the hospitality business, hotel industry can implement some of the environmental practices to help the world, in a better, environmentally balanced environment? What are some of the, practices that you would recommend, please?
Sure. In U.S., we practice similarly. We ask the guests when they checked in if they don't need to have towels to be replaced every day, simply hang them somewhere on the rack. If they need to have the towels replaced, put them in the tub, and we'll be glad to clean them.
Okay.
If their bed sheets do not require replacement, we ask them to put a provided tag on the bed, so that we know that the sheets, all we have to do is make the bed instead of washing them, because all these are environmentally will start doing some deteriorations. And I think Taiwan is doing wonderful as well. They're doing everything exactly the same here.
Right.
In fact, they go another step beyond. Taiwan's most of the trash bin I see, and especially in the larger hotels or franchise properties, they even go and beyond that. Trash cans are separated in recyclable and non-recyclables, and that's something that U.S. is not doing.
Okay.
I think one thing I probably would focus more, but not necessarily on hospitality side, is in general public. I think general public also has the awareness. I think it also has to do with the fact that trash needs to be separated by law. But it was unfortunate that I saw a lot of debris on the ocean, for example, when I went to Penghu this time.
All right.
On the way back between the ferry ride, it was about an hour and a half ride. I saw a lot of debris floating on the water, which is obviously very damaging to our environment and our beautiful scenes.
Yes.
And I think people in general will probably need to be a little bit more conscientious about trash applications.
Yes, of course.
Put them in the proper locations.
I believe that Taiwan has made some progress in that area, but of course, like you said, which I agree, there's always going to be room for improvement. And then I think the government and also some NGOs in Taiwan are also doing what they can to try to promote and raise the awareness for environmental protection. But Wilson, by talking to you on the program today, we can see that you're clearly a product of two cultures, one in Taiwan, of course, one in the U.S. But what is more interesting to me is I have learned that you are very much into Confucian teachings, and in particular that that concept of 修身齐家治国平天下. Or in English here, is if you wanted to manage the state, that you must first regulate their families. And if you want to regulate their families, they must first cultivate their persons. And if you want to cultivate their persons, then they must first rectify their minds. And can you then elaborate with us, about your concept of Confucianism? How do you translate some of the Confucian teachings into your professional life and also your personal life? Please.
Sure. I guess in the modern talks, it's more of IQ versus EQ, right? I think the emotional management of self-control or self-manage is probably one of the key that I can probably relate to the Confucian more. Often we express ourselves and through emotional minds or emotional states that may be unintentional but harmful to relationships. And that's how I look at it and go, every time you respond on or react on certain things, you always ask yourself to take another step back and think twice before you throw out an expression, because it's much easier to offend someone, but it's not as easy to comfort someone.
Of course.
And I think the self-management through the emotional management, then you can apply to your business and to all the colleagues that you have worked with, and to create a better scene or stronger scene. And that obviously applies to the family as well. And through the success of business, then you can further on influence either your representatives of the area, local representatives, or even be involved in politics and in the civic services. So I think all that kind of interlinked with each other. But obviously there are a lot more complicated applications in between that, but in the simplest term, that's probably the easiest way to explain.
But Wilson, you now mostly in the U.S. and you're surrounded by American culture that sometimes can be incompatible with Confucianism. And how do you then reconcile the differences? How do you find that negotiated way that will make all the parties, happy, and in the process that you do not offend, somebody, whether it's intentional or accidental, and then at the end, you reach a win-win situation for all parties concerned. How do you do that?
Well, it still goes back to the emotional state and emotional management that I think has probably made me who I am today. U.S. culture is not, obviously, it's a very diversified as well. So, but in Southern California in particular, where I stayed, the aggression is not as strong as the East Coast. People tend not to headbutt against each other, obviously. But still, it's very competitive. People will be somewhat aggressive when it comes to personal interest. And I think that's where I separate myself with others, is I truly believe that if you continuously fight for yourself personal benefits, everyone's going to look at you as an enemy. Then you cannot convey what you want to convey at any point in time. Everyone's going to be putting up a guard in front of you. So I think people who have done business with me came to learn that. So a lot of times I have the luxury of having a frank conversation with clients or with business colleagues. And therefore, I think my job was much easier in that sense.
Wilson, we understand that you have been to the United States for over 30 years. And besides being very successful in your professional career, that you are also involved in the local Taiwanese community. And can you tell us that what would be some of the community, Taiwanese community activities that you often attend? And what would be some of the, activities that attract you the most and your family? Please.
My local involvement are mainly with OCAC, with Taiwanese communities. Events like the Double 10 activities. For the last couple of years, I was the president of the United ROC Golf Association, which put together 2 events every year. One is for the TICO Cup. The Taipei Economic Cultural Office Cup. It's a tournament for honoring our Taiwan officials, delegates in the LA regions. And the other is for the Double 10 Cup, where we group about 100, 140 people together, play a whole day round of golf, have a little competitiveness. But at the end of the day, everyone sit down, gather dinners, and have fun and chit chat. And that has always been the main events that I always try to participate. Things like the OCAC's gourmet festivals. In fact, actually, I'll be missing this year because I'm actually here right now in Taiwan. But these are the type of things that we typically get involved over there and try to support our government working abroad.
I think the LA Taiwanese community is really lucky to have somebody with your qualifications and caliber. And let me ask you this, then, Wilson, among the conversations that you have with the younger generation of, Taiwanese, whether they're, still immigrants or are they, second or third generations, what is their, notion about, the relationship between where they are today in the United States and also the, the homeland of their parents or grandparents? Do they identify through these, community, activities that you mentioned? Do they identify with Taiwanese culture, or do they identify more, with American culture, or was it, you see more cases of combination of both?
Before our program started back in 2008, a lot of our second generation, they call themselves Taiwanese American, but with a hesitation. They can link the fact that they're Taiwanese, but through their parents, but have very little experience or knowledge of Taiwan culture, what Taiwan really is, and who Taiwanese really are. But after they start enrolling our programs and come at least enroll either once or twice, they start to experience all different aspects of this abundant richness of cultural heritage. And they then start to realize, oh, this is what being Taiwanese is like. And now when they go back and then when they talk to their friends, I'm a Taiwanese American, they know what they're talking about without hesitation. So I think coming here and experience personally will definitely help quite a bit.
And another area that a lot of people being concerned about is, among the attitude of the younger generations of Taiwanese in the U.S. I mean, many of them were born in the U.S. They went to school, they started their own business or go to work, and then they have their own families and things. What is their attitude towards the local public affairs in the U.S. or in their place of residence? For example, do they get involved with the mainstream communities activities like, PTA, like education, board, some of the, political process, forming of special interest groups? Do they get interested or get involved in that process at all?
The participation is actually increasing.
Yeah.
But it hasn't gone to a stage where Taiwanese voice is strongly heard.
Okay.
We were lucky that one of the U.S. congressmen locally in Southern California, Congressman Ed Royce,
okay.
And we also have the Congresswoman Judy Chu,
yes.
That are constantly in the House of Representatives, voice for the interests of Taiwanese. And in fact, the reaffirmation, the Taiwan Relationship Act that was put together by Congressman Ed Royce and also endorsed by Judy Chu are true examples of how Taiwanese are influencing and participating in the process where our interest is being sought after and recognized internationally.
Okay, and we also understand that Southern California is, the place where a lot of the Taiwanese businesses are located. Not just in hotels, but also in restaurants and other, importing, exporting business, for example. And for many of these small and medium-sized enterprises, they would occasionally maybe, need additional boost, whether it's financing or whether it's in terms of managerial support and other things from, other sources to help them expand, to help them reach the next plateau. And then we understand that there's a lot of connections, and the association between, Southern California and Taiwan, is very deep. And would you then, as the president of THMANA, give us some recommendation that how can we, people in Taiwan, the government in Taiwan, also including OCAC in particular, can help the local businesses in Southern California and also in the U.S. of Taiwanese origin to help them to become more recognizable, more formidable, and more internationally in tune? What would be your recommendation?
So far, I've seen a lot of events, and obviously in participation with OCAC, with TICO in LA. There are a lot of efforts and a lot of activities being going on currently, whether it's through the Tourism Bureau's outpost directors, through MOA, through MOFA, through OCAC office and directors. They throw all kinds of programs that helps connect small business owners and get them connect with Taiwan, connect with Taiwan's businesses, cultural investment opportunities, and all kinds of stuff. So I think Taiwan has already been doing a lot and is doing very well. I think one of the things that probably can do more is instead of only focusing on major cities, on an occasional basis, because there are other Taiwanese that are in the non-metropolitan area. For example, LA, San Francisco, these are the key locations in California. San Francisco, Houston, these are key areas in other states. But if we outreach to places like Arizona, for example, or Florida, I think a lot of Taiwanese there locally will also get benefit and get the fruit of this great service that the government has to offer.
All right. And Wilson, next I'm going to ask you something a little more on the personal front. I mean, you've been very successful, in the United States in your career, and you certainly have been recognized as one of the community leaders, Taiwanese community leaders in Southern California. Anything on the agenda for you to maybe get involved a little more in local public affairs in the LA area? You've probably been asked that question many times.
I have.
Okay.
Quite a few people asked me if I should go ahead and think about running as a city councilman in the city of Irvine. That's where I reside. One of the things I always try to stay away from is actually personally be involved in the political front. But I have been very supportive of the local officials or local politicians.
Right.
For example, I supported Philip Chan, who happens to be running the California State Assembly member seats. I've been supportive to Zheng Cheng, who's currently the California State Treasurer, and I've been having conversation with him and hoping that he will one day make the announcement to make the run for the California governor. So I think he's very close to making that announcement, but hopefully I can hear that sooner rather than later, because he's truly a politician that to follow up on. My interest locally is probably not on the political side. I'd probably be more interested in charity events or charitable activities. This year, when we came back to Taiwan, we actually visited the Alliance Cultural Foundations that is spearheaded by Mr. Stanley Yan, a hospitality industry leader. And personally, I feel he's a mentor for me. I had the opportunity to meet him a few times, listen to his speech, and read his books. And I think he's truly a person who's focusing on developing Taiwan, make sure Taiwan is getting the benefit and getting the growth and the foundation in education and culture.
Good. Well, Wilson, like what they said, never say never. All right. It's truly been a pleasure to have you on the program today. I certainly want to wish you all the best in your professional and personal endeavors in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for watching our program today. I'll see you next time on MacroView Television. Thank you.